Hey everybody, it's Kaladesh and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'm going to be playing another premiere draft of Kaladesh Remastered. Without further ado, let's take a peek at our first pack and see what we want to take. It's actually not any super great uncommons here. The 1 toughness on Oval Chase Dragster are pretty rough. It's going to trade into anything on the board, and Barricade Breaker is super slow. Outland Boar is the best of our uncommons, but it is a gold card. It is red and green, tying us to 2 colors right off the bat. I'm usually pretty averse to that unless it's a very strong card, and I'm especially not a fan of taking a gold colored card in Kaladesh because there's so many artifacts and stuff, so many more open options you can take usually. So this is a great card, but really ties us into too many colors, and the Peacewalker Colossus always feels a bit too slow for me, even if I am on a white deck. It can't crew itself, you have to crew it for 4. Does make your other vehicles better, but running a bunch of vehicles can lead to some really awkward draws. So I'm going for one of the commons between Pima Outrider and Aether Swooper here. Pima Outrider is a solid one, 4 mana for 4/4 trample, but Aether Swooper is one of the best commons in the set, in my opinion. All of these 2 mana Aether cards are great. They come with 2 energy and sped out a servo when they attack, so essentially for 2 mana you're getting a 1/2 flyer and a 1/1 on the ground. That is just an incredibly good deal. We've got a really nice follow-up to that here. We could take a Thriving Turtle to stick to mono blue for now, and that would be fine. This is a very efficient card, getting you 2 energy off of this 1 mana card and giving you a good way to use your energy, making this a gigantic turtle over time. But I'm going to go with the Servant of the Conduit. This is a very solid uncommon. It comes with 2 energy and it's a 2/2 body for only 2 mana, and it can use energy to produce a mana of any color. So Servant of the Conduit just does a lot of really good stuff for a pretty cheap entry fee. Riparian Tiger is a solid finisher for the energy decks. I like it better than Cavalry because it's just more consistently a 6/6 because you just have to pay some energy you have lying around. But yeah, Thriving Turtle is probably the next best card behind the Servant, just for being so cheap, so efficient. Bunch of great options again. We have Dawnfeather Eagle being a really great white common. We have a Gearseeker Serpent being a huge game ender, but I'm probably taking one of the 2 solid uncommons here. We have Maulfist Revolutionary, 3 mana for a 3/3 trample. When it enters the battlefield or dies, you can add an additional counter to target permanents or players, so you can get another energy or get another +1/+1 counter, which is really good in the color pair. Then Glimmer of Genius is really nice instant speed card draw, especially for a deck that cares about energy, which is definitely something that we'll be doing in blue-green. So 4 mana, instant speed, scry 2, draw 2, and get 2 energy. Card is really good. Both of these are phenomenal, and it's definitely one of them. I think I'm going to go Glimmer of Genius here. I think that it's just a little less replaceable. There's a lot of solid mid-range creatures in green, the Thriving Rhino at common being a huge one, so I'm going to take the Glimmer. Merchant Stockhand, the rare there. It is kind of a blue rare. It is a fun one, but it is, it's not the most... it's not the quickest card. It's a pretty slow card, and it requires a really high artifact count in your deck to really work, so it's not a great rare. This, however, Pacification Ray, this is a card I would pick 1 pack 1 almost over anything. So it's kind of wild to me that it made it pick 4, but I'll absolutely scoop it up now. This card is incredible in literally any deck. It is slightly more expensive to use than Icy Manipulator, but it wins pretty much just as many games. A 1 mana artifact, you can spend 2 mana and tap this to tap down your opponent's best artifact or creature, always keeping their best threat locked down when you need it. Pacification Array is just nuts, and the fact that it is a colorless card, it is an artifact, makes it a really high pick for me, because no matter what we end up doing, we get to play it. So Sky Skiff is another one of these colorless cards I like to take really early in the draft, because whatever we end up playing, we get to run it. But it looks like blue-green is turning out pretty well for us, because 2 of these uncommons are solid green and blue cards. Blossoming Defense, a very cheap combat trick that can also counter a removal spell, and then Aether Meltdown is solid removal. It's going to leave their creature on the board, but it's going to stop it from being able to do any damage most of the time, and it's going to give you 2 energy when you play it, which is really nice in a deck that cares about energy like our deck here. So I really like Aether Meltdown and Blossoming Defense here as the possible pickups. I think I'm going to go Aether Meltdown. I'm just going to get really greedy about the energy. Again, Sky Skiff usually a super high pick, but we see just great stuff on color. And pick 6 Pacification Array, don't mind if I do. Get into the deck. Again, these are the kind of cards I would absolutely recommend taking pack 1, pick 1, and definitely early in the first pack. Same with Prophetic Prism. This is another great, very, very flexible artifact because not only is this a card you can run in any deck, it's going to make your mana base better as well, leave you more open to splashing in a third color if you open some good off-color bomb. But again, can't really speak pacification raise praises enough. It keeps the scariest card on board locked down every turn. So Aether Poisoner I think is probably the best card in this pack, a 2-mana 1/1 Death Touch that spits out a servo the first time it attacks. So basically 2 mana for a 1/1 Death Touch and a regular 1/1. Very, very cheap. We're not married to green yet, so we could take that, speculating on blue-black instead. But Metallic Rebuke is still pretty good, and it's very good with these pacification arrays and the servo token we can get off of Swooper. But this card does tend to go pretty late. Not a lot of people are going to take counterspells super highly, so I'll take an Aether Poisoner here. We can probably get some Metallic Rebukes later on if we want them. Alright, pretty happy to be speculating on black here, because now we have a fine black removal spell, Die Young. Very good for a deck that can produce a lot of energy, which is certainly what every single blue card we've taken right now can do. Just 2 mana, get 2 energy, spend any number of energy to give a creature -X/-X, where X is the number of energy spent. Nothing great here, but Reservoir Walker is fine if you care a lot about energy. If you don't care about energy at all, this card's pretty bad, but if you care a decent amount about energy, a 3/3 that also gains 3 life helps you stabilize a little bit. It's actually a decently sized body in this format. There are a lot of really small creatures. So I think this is fine. Fenhaller's been a little unimpressive to me. It just costs so much mana. And if we want it, we can take it quite a bit later. We did wheel a Thriving Turtle. I'll absolutely take that. Very cheap way to get 2 energy. The way that energies work, I know I haven't mentioned it yet, is that the energy will stick around forever. You just keep the energy, and then later you can spend it all on something. So now we have Reservoir Walker or Live Fast. Glimmer of Genius is infinitely better than Live Fast, but I'm probably not going to play 2 Reservoir Walkers, so just in case I end up wanting more card draw, we can play Live Fast, but it will probably get cut as well. Reservoir Walker 2. Actually, I might take Rush of Vitality over this Reservoir Walker. This is actually a pretty solid combat trick because you gain a ton of life off of it. We've seen recently how just a combat trick giving lifelink can end up being a pretty huge deal with cards like Blessed Defiance and Innistrad Midnight Hunt. Yeah, and that one gives lifelink and indestructible, so actually a pretty good combat trick. This is not a bad pickup. Implement of Examination. It is a draw 2 for 4 mana. But it's spread amongst 2 turns, so 3 mana initial investment, then just 1 mana on a later turn. So pretty nice. This pack doesn't have anything super powerful directly on color. I mean, like, there's Malfunction and Malphis Squad, which would probably make the cut, but neither would be that exciting, whereas Whirler Virtuoso is an incredible energy payoff, letting you convert 3 energy tokens into a 1/1 Thopter with flying. That is just a super, super good card. It even comes with 3 energy, so no matter what, all by itself, it puts 1 Thopter out. So I'm definitely taking the Whirler Virtuoso. We're hoping to pick up some Prophetic Prisms to be able to splash that in, or potentially move into blue-red here. Ooh, this is a pack that's really going to test me, because there's Self-Assembler, one of the colorless cards that I like taking super highly. If you get 2 copies of Self-Assembler, it's a great card, and if you get more than 2, it's absolutely busted. So I do like taking Self-Assembler pretty highly. I add this to my list of colorless cards. I try to pick one, pack one if they're there. But there's also Bomat Bazaar Barge, and we're also committed to blue, so we don't get as much of a benefit from colorless cards as usual, because I know I'm playing blue no matter what. So Aether Swooper is just as likely to get played as Self-Assembler Bomat Bazaar Barge, which is 100%. And this card is just really good. I think I'm going to take Aether Swooper, but Bomat Bazaar Barge is a great deal, and Self-Assembler is really good if we can pick up a second throughout the draft. That was actually a really hard pick. I like all of those cards a lot. Okay, Trophy Mage is a really solid deal if you have 1 or 2 3-mana artifacts. It basically turns into a 3-mana 2/2 that draws a card. This is the kind of card that will convince you to run some somewhat mediocre 3-mana artifacts like Implement of Examination. That's not super exciting by itself, but it's going to make our Trophy Mage a lot better, so I think I like taking Trophy Mage here. There's nothing very exciting. In black or red, there's the Fortuitous Find that's basically draw 2 cards from your graveyard. The Requisitioner, that's incredibly slow. We could take this Renegade map to help splash in the Whirler Virtuoso. Maybe that's supposed to be the pick, but I think it's just Trophy Mage and Renegade map. Hinterland Drake's a fine flyer, but I think those are the 2 competing. I am going to take the Trophy Mage still, though. We do see another Aether Poisoner. Great stuff for black here. Scoop that up. Looks like we're not going to be blue-red because we have not seen any red pass to us. But yeah, already spoke my praise on Aether Poisoner. Card is great. Aether Trade Winds is really fun in an energy deck as well, because most of your creatures have an enter the battlefield effect to produce more energy, so you get some good value off this card while you bounce your opponent's thing. So I do like Aether Trade Winds a good bit. Malfunction is just fine removal. We'll take Aether Poisoner. There's another Sky Skiff. There's also another Aether Poisoner. And a Malfunction. And that's about it. Off color, there's a Winding Constrictor, which is super good. If you're a green-black deck with any number of energy production or +1/+1 counters, this card's sick. If you play this turn 2 and then you play a Fabricate card turn 3, you just put 2 +1/+1 counters on that card. Can be pretty sick, but we're not going to be green-black. I'm just going to take a Poisoner. Maybe it's supposed to be Skiff. Now that I have double Poisoner, double Swooper, Skiff gives me a really good way to use all those servos. Weirdly enough, I'm going to take Skiff over Aether Poisoner now that I think of it. Because I think we already have now 4 2-mana creatures that are producing servo tokens. So just having a vehicle to use these servo tokens is going to be really nice. I'm actually going to take that Sky Skiff. And here is Night Market Lookout. If you haven't seen draft number 11, the one with Gonti, then you might not know how great Night Market Lookout is, but this card is sick, especially with vehicles that crew for 1, which we just drafted one of. So I'm going to take Night Market Lookout here. I think it's just a super, super good card. Again, I'm passing up a Renegade map, which means we might not be on the Whirler Virtuoso game plan. You know what? Never mind. I'm going to take Renegade map over that card. Because I think that the Whirler Virtuoso game plan is just so good because almost everything in our deck makes energy. So Whirler Virtuoso, being able to play this is actually a huge, huge, huge benefit. Probably a bigger benefit to our deck than being able to have the really good card at crewing stuff, because we already have plenty servos to crew things, even if we don't have a Night Market Lookout. Let's just make sure we can really cast this Whirler Virtuoso by picking up all these Renegade maps. Gear Seeker Serpent was a really good card in that pack as well, but again, I think it's going to be really important to be able to splash this Whirler Virtuoso easily, because it'll be the strongest card in our deck with the amount of energy we have if we can get it in the deck. So kind of changed my mind there. I don't think it would have been an awful pick, though, to take the Night Market Lookout. But I really want to make sure I can play this Virtuoso. We have 9 creatures. I think I'm still looking for more creatures. I'll take a Malphus Squad over a second Malfunction right now. Aether Theorist is a great 2-drop. Get 3 energy off of this when it enters the battlefield, and it has a cheap way to use energy. It only costs 1 energy. Just scry 1 with it. Like Aether Theorist a lot. We did Will the Hinterland Drake. This is solid. Fortuitous Find is fine. Very late game recursion spell. I think I like the Drake better though, and I'm still trying to up that creature count right now. I do not like Ice Over, because it doesn't tap the thing. It's just going to keep something that's already gotten an attack tapped. So I'm just going to take Aether Trade Winds, which I do actually like in the energy archetype. Because say we bounce our opponent's threat, bring back our Whirler Virtuoso, that means we recast the Virtuoso and get enough energy to play another Thopter out of it. And here was another reason that I didn't take Night Market Lookout, is that this card is highly, highly, highly underdrafted, to where sometimes you can just get it literally last pick. And now we still have a Renegade map, and we have that card. So the rare is bad here. Baral, Chief of Compliance. Makes our instants and sorceries cost 1 less, but we're not going to run a lot. So it's usually just a 2-mana 1/3 that maybe every now and then you draw a card, discard a card, just not really worth it. Honestly, this pack as a whole is pretty bad for us. We could take a 3rd Renegade map. Aether Chaser's one of the strongest cards in this pack, but I'm not going to splash in at 2-drop because we're not going to be playing it consistently on turn 2. I could just take another Thriving Turtle here. I already have double Renegade map. I don't think I'd play a 3rd. I think I just take the Turtle. If I try to get more mana fixing in here, it would much preferably be like a 1st Prophetic Prism or something like that. Decoction module. This is the bad module. The Fabrication module is pretty good. Actually really good in a deck like this where we have so much stuff that makes energy, but the Decoction module just is too slow generally. I do like Subtle Strike a lot. This is a huge combat trick. Put a +1/+1 counter on a creature, give another creature -1/-1. There are a lot of 1 toughness cards in the format. Servo tokens, Thopter tokens, Aether Chasers, Aether Poisoners, all that kind of stuff. So take a Subtle Strike here. Oh, I wish Minister of Inquiries and Aether Swooper were in a different pack, because I'd absolutely play both of those really nice energy payoffs and this Daring Demolition, but Confiscation Coup is one of the strongest rares in the format. This is a mind control effect that your opponent can't. They can counter it, but they can't get rid of your aura to stop it later, because you just permanently gain control of target artifact or creature as long as you have enough energy to spend an amount of energy equal to that permanent's mana value. And yeah, once this has resolved, there's nothing they can do to get their card back, because it's not like you have an aura on it that tells you that you get to keep control of it, or a counter on it they can try to remove. It's just straight up on your board. So Confiscation Coup is an absolutely absurd Magic card, and it is easily the pick there. Easily the pick there. It's just perfect for our deck. Now I'll take another Aether Poisoner over a Nimble Innovator or a Hinterland Drake. These are both solid. I think Innovator is the worst one in this pack. Generally, these kind of effects are really good, but that's because usually they're on like 2-mana creatures, like 2-mana 1/1s that draw a card. 4 mana for a 2/2. By the time you're at like turn 4, you really need to be playing blockers that are good enough to affect the board a lot, usually. And a 2/2 body is just not very good for that 4 mana. So I'll take the Aether Poisoner. Could splash in a Welding Sparks, though, I guess. That was another option. Just have quadruple Aether Poisoner in this deck, though. I'll just go for it. We've got our 2-drop slot all full. 5 Aether Poisoners if I want them. Probably take a second Aether Theorist before my 5th Aether Poisoner. Although Metallic Rebuke is pretty solid interaction, and we don't have a lot of removal right now, so maybe it's Rebuke over Theorist, because I already have my 2-drop slot full of creatures. Double Swooper, 4 Poisoner, and 1 Theorist is probably the creatures I'll play. Yeah, second Theorist, I don't even know if it makes the cut. I'm going to take a Metallic Rebuke. Very cheap counterspell, very cheap interaction. Now we get a big finisher, the Gearseeker Serpent. I think I'm lacking on finishers a little bit, so I'm going to take Gearseeker Serpent, but Inventor's Goggles is another card that I should very much mention here. It's very good if you have a high Artificer count, or just a lot of servos in general. Being able to turn your servos into 2/3s is going to make sure they're still relevant throughout the game. We have both of those. We have 8 Artificers, and we have a lot of servo production, so that equipment's actually a pretty real card as well, but I'm going with the Gearseeker Serpent over it. I just want more ways to end the game. Love me a Shipwreck Moray. Get 4 energy for 4 mana, you get a 0/5 blocker. Good way to use the energy too. Stratagem's really fun too, though, and I do have 17 creatures now. Maybe I'll try Stratagem in this deck. Stratagem lets us flicker 2 of our creatures, bounce them, put them back on the board, and draw a card. Obviously, with the amount of energy producing creatures we have, this is just a guaranteed way to get like 4 energy and draw a card. Take an Aether Trade Winds now. I guess I could try to do Consulate Turret, but I'm not a big fan of cards that don't affect the board at all. And the Consulate Turret is just there to damage your opponent or slowly get some energy. I'm not going to play any of these. We did wheel the Minister of Inquiries. This card is really funny. If your opponent can't remove this card, if you're in an energy deck, it is not that hard to get approximately 1 energy per turn on average, which makes it so Minister of Inquiries is just milling your opponent 3 every single turn, which is only going to take 8 or 9 turns to completely mill your opponent out of the game. So if you get a turn 1 Minister of Inquiries, you're putting your opponent on a clock. If you're in an energy deck, like, they need to kill that card or they are going to mill out, so it's pretty funny. Oh, we got last pick Aether Theorist. All right. We got a sick blue-black energy deck here with a Whirler Virtuoso splash off of Mountain Map, probably. Maybe 2 mountains, 2 maps. Yeah, probably 2 mountains. That's going to be 4 red sources, potentially. And our blue and black sources are going to be really good because we have double map, which are colorless. We have double pacification array to slow our opponents down if we ever get to try to do the Minister of Inquiries game plan. Excuse me. That could be really funny. We get to cut a lot of cards out of this deck. We have 20 creatures, so we get to cut like 3 creatures here. I only have the 1 3-mana artifact, so it is possible that I draw my Implement of Examination before I draw my Trophy Mage, which would make the Trophy Mage really bad, so I think I'm going to cut both of these just right off the bat, because they're both very reliant on each other, drawing the correct one at the correct time. I think I'm cool with a super, super low curve here. Maybe we just drop Reservoir Walkers. I mean, they're good in here. We're gaining life, we're getting more energy. They're our biggest blocker too. Might actually be important. 19 creatures here. We're definitely cutting more. Maybe I am cutting 1 or 2 poisoners. That is a lot of them. Don't really want to cut Night Market Lookout, but I do only have the 1 Sky Skiff for it. And I have plenty of servos for crewing that Sky Skiff, and Thopters too. Cut 2 creatures. We'll cut it in the middle here. Cut 1 poisoner, 1 walker. Still have 17 creatures. Actually looks a little high for this kind of deck. But I guess we're just more like blue-black tempo than blue-black control, where we're going to play a bunch of just really small, dirty threats, and then we're going to stop everything our opponent does, get all these threats onto the board, and then counter their plays, counter their big plays, steal their big plays, shut off the creatures. Yeah, I guess that's the game plan. Curve out a bunch of really small creatures, keep all our opponent's other threats off the board. Feels like a plan, but we can also pivot into the control game plan if we draw Minister of Inquiries. So Renegade maps are a 1-mana way to definitely draw land, so we can also play a lower land count here, because we essentially right now have 19 lands, because every Renegade map we draw is immediately, well not immediately, but is putting another land into our hand next turn. So I think I'm definitely going to cut at least 1 land, but I could maybe cut 2, since we have 2 maps here, and a lot of 1 and 2 mana cards. Yeah, with the amount of 1-2 mana cards we have here, I think I can play 15 land double map as the mana base, and now we need to cut a lot of non-creature stuff. We have some really powerful stuff. So Pacification Array, Confiscation Coup, these cards are incredible, and there's no way they get cut. Maybe 1 Pacification Array, but probably not. Glimmer of Genius is great. That is definitely not getting cuts. Definitely want some removal, so Die Young's going to fit in there. Sky Skiff works incredibly with all these servos and the Night Market Lookout, so that's not getting cut. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow. I have to cut 10 cards here, so I'd have to cut everything I didn't just put in that pile, which means I wouldn't be playing Double Rebuke, which I like a lot in here with all these servos we can make. I'm definitely playing Double Rebuke. I'm not going to not play the Rebukes, but I could cut the Live Fast. We've got Scry, and we have some card draw from Glimmer of Genius. Kind of want to cut this Reservoir Walker for more non-creature stuff. Maybe even the Malphus squad instead. It's like super aggressive. I kind of want my later game plays to be more defensive like the Walker. Just have a super huge energy theme as well. Maybe I do cut 1 Pacification Array. Theoretically, this is a card I really don't want to draw 2 copies of until very late in the game, because 2 mana to tap something is a moderately hefty fee that's going to keep me from doing everything I want to do with all of my mana. But then if we have 2 out, if we're trying to hold up 4 mana every turn, that's a much harder sell. Card is so good though. Still not sure. I probably am cutting the more cute things like the Stratagem and Trade Winds. Probably cutting Malfunction because we have the better removal between Counterspells, Confiscation Coup, and Die Young. Still need to cut 6 more cards. I really like that Aether Meltdown's giving us energy as we put it on the board, but the fact that it does not kill the card can still block, is a bit of a downside. Yeah, maybe we are just cutting the rest of our non-creature cards here. Actually, I think with the amount of 1 and 2 mana creatures in here, though, Subtle Strike's very, very tempting. Just too many good cards. Too many good cards. Not enough room in the deck. Hinterland Drake. Solid flyer, but it doesn't do anything with the energy theme, but if we cut the Drakes, like, our creatures are all super tiny if I just keep cutting creatures here. Yeah, I really don't think I want to draw double array ever. Unless it's like, you know, turn 10 or something. But having 2 of them to just more consistently draw 1 seems really good too. Alright, yeah, I'm just going to go down to 1 array, and then I am going to cut 5 of these. One more Cut one Drake or one Subtle Strike, or the Reservoir Walker for being slower. Sure. Let's just get wildly aggro. Keep this Subtle Strike combat trick in here. Okay, check out how our mana's looking. 15 blue, 6 black, 1 red. Well, that's definitely wrong. Probably more like that. Double Renegade map makes the mana pretty great, and I don't want to drop down the swamp count too much because all of our black cards are really cheap. So we need those blacks versus early game. I think this is what we want, 7/6/2 here with double map to fix it all. Yeah. Yeah, this is gonna be the deck. We are very much a tempo deck, like a tempo kind of aggro deck. We're just trying to play a bunch of cheap, just energy-based threats, make our board really wide really quickly, do a bunch of damage, get a mountain of energy, and then we're just trying to stop all of our opponent's big plays, tapping down their giant creatures, killing them with Die Young. As soon as our opponent's blocking, we're subtle striking to win that fight. We've got some rebukes to counter their big plays, and then a confiscation coup to steal their best card if we ever draw into that. This looks like a pretty fun blue-black kind of energy tempo deck here, and we'll see how it does as we head into the gameplay. Here we are in game 1. We're a little high on mana in this hand, but we have all of our colors, and we have an Aether Theorist to scry any more lands that we hit away. And we can have a really big thriving turtle that should be hard for a red deck to kill, because it's going to be a 1/4 here. One thing I'm a little scared of in a red deck is a potential Pyrohelix to kill our Poisoner. These Chandra's Pyrohelix, one of the best red removal spells in the format at common. 2 mana instant to do 2 damage divided as you choose among 2 targets. So they could kill our Aether Poisoner and damage us for 1, or kill our Aether Poisoner and kill a Servo. A bunch of stuff like that. Alright, I could just get to send in a 2/5 turtle here. Don't see a need to kill this Scrap Trawler. When it dies, they can get other artifacts from their grave back to their hand, but there's none on their grave. Not really worried about its effect or anything. Yeah, I don't think Aether Poisoner like immediately affects this board that much, so I'm just going to hold up Metallic Rebuke. Again, against a red deck, I think I'm just playing Aether Poisoner the turn that I need to put the energy into the turtle, and I'm just trying to ride this turtle all the way to victory. That's us right here. This bird on its back. Send in the Scrap Trawler, you got it. We'll take 3. They are mono red so far. If you've drafted enough artifacts, you can definitely play monocolored in the format. We'll scry 1. And get an Aether Swooper. Well, that is even better than playing the Aether Poisoner here, because that might draw a Pyrohelix from their hand, and it'll still give us the 2 energy that we need to put another counter on the turtle. And now that we're going to be spending both energy for the counter on the turtle, we're not going to scry with Theorist. I mean, I guess if I play Aether Poisoner I could, but I'd rather have that energy to put another counter on turtle next turn. Yeah, again, this turtle should be pretty hard for a red deck to kill at 6 toughness now. So could play the Poisoner immediately. I think I'd still rather wait on that, so now we're playing Renegade map because we don't have any instants to hold up anyway. Yeah, we'll play the Renegade map. And I'm going to sacrifice that during my upkeep, I think, to thin my deck out, make it a little less likely I draw another land. I could keep it on board, because it is actually doing something on board. It is able to improvise for my Metallic Rebuke. That's essentially doing the same thing as the land that it'll search out of my deck would do anyway. So opponent's down to 13. They were not mono red, they were just stuck on one color in their opening hand. They are actually Teamer. Blue, green, and red. Teamer energy over there. Tune with Aether, very similar to the Renegade map. I guess, you know what, I actually probably draw the card first. And then do this in the end step, that way I can play 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess I can't quite hold up the rebuke unless I make a servo off the swooper this turn. Maybe that's what we do here. But then we are opening up to a nasty pyro helix. Yeah, no. Let's just make the turtle bigger again. Yeah, I guess I could have just cracked it during my upkeep. I did not count the mana correctly. I thought maybe I could do something here where I could play both my spells and still hold up rebuke. Not that it's going to matter too much. Okay, well, rebuke time. They were going to try to Welding Sparks and block there, dealing 4 damage to the turtle, then declaring a block with Scrap Trawler. When it was down to a 4-3. My turtle is important enough that I don't even want to let my opponent 2-for-1 themselves to kill the turtle. So just stop that line from happening, countering the Welding Sparks. Opponent played that very smart, though. That was a very nice timing of it to shoot before they declare the block, because I'm more likely to have a counterspell than a combat trick or anything like that. In blue over here. That way, if I have the counterspell, it's not like I get to kill their thing for free. They do have the Pyro Helix, alright. Pretty glad we didn't just dump out a servo then. Okay. They're gonna get a servo here to chump block the turtle. Not ideal, but our position still looks pretty great. Just grab another island, I guess. There's a Whirler Virtuoso, let's go! I think I would rather make a Thopter than buff the turtle. Now that we've got Pyro Helix out of the way, unless they have like another Pyro Helix. So we'll just do this post-combat. And the other nice thing about the Virtuoso, we can make the Thopters at instant speed. So we can wait until their end step, give them the lowest amount of opportunities to do something about our Thopter. Still have no artifacts in their graves, so I don't feel a need to die young to try to kill this before they can get something back, because it just feels like they're probably not playing another artifact for a while. Okay, we're gonna have 2 power in the sky to get through that. The turtle can't actually attack into 0-5. But I could just get 2 energy from Die Young and use it to make turtle bigger. Make the turtle a 5-8. This is super funky, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna spend 0 energy with my Die Young. So I can make the turtle 5 power so it can attack into the moray. Five-8 thriving turtle, let's go. As you can see, if you just have an energy deck where everything's making energy, you don't actually need big creatures, because if you've got the thriving turtles, oh, you can make the big creatures yourself. Minister of Inquiries, they can start milling us, but we've got 25 cards. It's fine. They're at 5 life with 2 blockers. They go block, block, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exactly lethal if I attack with everybody. Opponent sees the writing on the wall, and they are going to concede. We're going to get a 1-0 start to this draft. Opponent had some rough luck there with their mana base, but I think they played pretty well. I was definitely impressed by the timing of the welding sparks there, because I would not have timed that correctly. I would usually like block and then try to do it during my opponent's end step. But then the problem with that is then I would have had my counterspell up to counter that when they tried to burn it in the end step. So if I were my opponent there, I would have gotten demolished by that metallic rebuke. So very impressive stuff there. Alright, we are on the draw here, but we've got a turn 2 Aether Super to start getting aggressive. Ooh, got the big old Gear Seeker Serpent as a finisher. Aether Chaser, you hate to see it. Very, very good card, and they're on the play, so they get to start it off. I'm gonna actually just play the Theorist and hope they don't have the cheap removal to get this Aether Chaser just doing its thing. Hopefully a 1/3 body is enough to stop the 2/1 first striker, because otherwise this card's going to be abysmally hard to block. Best red common, similar to how Aether Super is the best blue common. Salivating Gremlins, alright. No Aether Chaser attack this turn, but next turn now that they have a Gremlins down, they can attack with the Aether Chaser, spend the energy, and get a 1/1 servo. And when they get that 1/1 servo, the Gremlins is going to get +2/+0 and trample. They can hit me really hard, even if it's a Trump attack with Aether Chaser. Could be worth it. Think I'm on the defensive here, because my opponent's on the play with an aggressive red strategy. Aether Chaser and Salivating Gremlins are both beat sticks. You just do a lot of damage. They get in pretty easily, so I think I just want to play a second creature that can block their Aether Chaser well, and just play the Hinterland Drake over trying to start swooping yet. And we're probably scrying to find more good defensive plays rather than good offensive plays. Any instant speed burn from our opponent is going to be pretty brutal here, because they are going to be able to like Pyro Helix after a block and really ruin our day. To finish off an Aether Theorist that's trying to block the Aether Chaser. But if they just have sorcery speed removal, then we can make sure the Chaser still doesn't get in with 2/3 toughness creatures. Propeller Pioneer it is, fabricates once, they can make it a 3/2 flyer or make a 1/1 servo. Both of those options are actually pretty good for my opponent. If they get the servo, the Gremlins gets a big attack. If they put the counter on the Pioneer, then the Pioneer is big enough to attack into the Hinterland Drake. Okay, so the Gremlins is going to get a big attack here. It just trades into one of our cards, though, but it does kill our Hinterland Drake. But we do have 6 toughness over here, so they're only killing one of these two, so it's probably worth it to double block here. But now they're going to have... the skies are free for their Pioneer, but I can Aether Swooper still to block there. Scry this land away. I do have a 7-drop in hand, but if I get some servos on board, I can cast it for cheaper than 7, so probably not going to need much more lands right now. I could cast a Thriving Turtle and still hold up Rebuke. If I play Aether Swooper, I'm not holding up Rebuke. They only have 2 cards in hand. We're just taking 2 damage by not playing Aether Swooper. Just gonna stick to the defensive plan here. Keep scrying to set up my draws, keep this Rebuke up. If we don't cast it this turn, the next turn I get to play Swooper and still hold it up. And the Thriving Turtle is another solid blocker, a 3 toughness creature to keep this Aether Chaser from hitting our face. Okay, Pioneer gets its damage in and we will be down to 18. I'd actually stop scrying because I have an even number of energy. Just enough to buff the turtle multiple times so we can try to turn the turtle into a win con. Gear Seekers are already a win con, but I really don't need to scry. My plays next turn are already set up. They're predetermined no matter what I draw. I mean, If I drew like Confiscation Coup, maybe I'd cast it, but almost no matter what I draw, I'm just going to play the Swooper and hold up the Rebuke, which is going to be the case here based on what I drew. And I may actually start buffing this turtle, so it's a 1 power at least, because we still have the block for Chaser. We go block there, and we're at 18 life. Worst case scenario, I take 5 if they can clear my entire board. Far from lethal, so I think we're safe to start juicing up the Thriving Turtle. And if they have instant speed burn to try to shoot this for a bit and block with a First Striker, I can ruin it with Metallic Rebuke. If it's Pyro Helix, I can't counter that. Actually, if they have Pyro Helix here, they kill my turtle. But that's a 1-for-1 trade. Trade Chandra's Pyro Helix for Thriving Turtle. If it's Welding Sparks, though, that's 3 mana to do the damage to the creature. And I can counter that spell. Okay, so we'll counter the Welding Sparks to keep the turtle. They're down to 1 card in hand. Hopefully it's not better than that Welding Sparks would have been. If so, I may have just countered the wrong spell. We'll find out. Alright, land for turn. I'm guessing it's not, because they just play land and go straight to combat. Not even considering casting whatever the other spell is. So it could just be another land or something. Okay, no attacks. They don't want to trade into my Aether Swooper. Ooh, Glimmer of Genius. Now I know I'm going to have plenty of energy left, so I actually attack with both and spend energy with both. I can cast the Lookout and still hold up 4 mana. Yeah, we're turning the corner here. We have the better board state now thanks to these energy cards. Getting bigger, making our board wider. This is where things start flipping into our favor on board. Our opponent needs to find the outs. Hungry Flames. Can't stop that. That's a little sad. Could scry another, but I'd probably rather do a 2 energy ability like getting another counter. But yeah, I could respond to that by making 2 energy at instant speed so I get another scry off of it before it dies. They do get their Aether Chaser attack now, so they do get their servo, but that's fine. Just 1/1s on the ground. Ooh, Subtle Strike's actually kind of appealing. Get a +1/+1 counter on one of my cards and kill their Aether Chaser. If I ever get into a position where Subtle Strike saves one of my cards in combat, that's going to be absolutely devastating. Because I'm going to save my creature with a +1/+1 counter, and then also just happen to kill their Aether Chaser at the same time. So, definitely like Subtle Strike off the top there. Eddy Trail Hawk. They can start sending something into the sky every time that attacks by spending 1 energy to do so. So we need to be a little worried about that. Not much I can do about that. Subtle Strike does not give -2/-2, so Eddy Trail Hawk is gonna hit us in the sky. Ooh, Minister! This is a game where Minister's energy is just going right into our turtle, but whatever. Oh, they're just gonna scoop them up. The board state is still quite a bit in our favor. Our opponent's only chance there really is to hope to somehow get enough damage out of Eddy Trailhawk, but they only have a 2-power creature on their board. I could just kill it with Subtle Strike, so fair concession there. I mean, they're taking like 8, or they're chump blocking with the servos this turn. Between the Serpent and the Turtle. So yeah, that is going to end that game. Big turnaround again. Thriving Turtle MVP. Our 1-drop creature being the biggest creature in her deck. And we'll be 2-0, headed into Game 3. Here we are in Game 3 on the play. I don't have any early game plays, but Glimmer of Genius and Confiscation Coup are incredibly powerful, and I have the map to make sure I have 4 mana at least. So I'm just going to keep it here and hope for the best. We are on the play, so we don't get absolutely demolished if my opponent has an aggressive start. We're going to grab the second island off that Renegade map. We'll do it in our opponent's end step. Alright, no turn 2 play. If they played an Aether Chaser, I'd honestly just Subtle Strike it. I just -1 that thing, because I'm not going to have any blockers or anything to stop it for a while. So grab our second island for the coup. I would like to apologize for the Dungeons & Dragons lands, but since I'm on the alt account, this account was made yesterday, so it was made after Kaladesh had lands. So I don't actually own Kaladesh lands on this account, sadly. So I can't play flavorful lands, and I can't play my cool lands either, my Bolas lands. Again, if you were unaware, the reason that I'm Gauntlet XL right now is because I don't want to lose any mythic ranks if I have any bad drafts here. I'm trying to just maintain my current mythic rank by sitting on it, and hoping it does not decay too low. Do I want to Minister here and just hold up a Subtle Strike? Yeah, I don't really need to Glimmer. I've got a great play for turn 5 regardless. But I mean, Minister's not really affecting the board much. I mean, I can make it a 2-3 and the Infiltrator a 2-1, so I can kill that with Subtle Strike and Minister. Yeah, I can play my card draw later. Honestly, I probably won't even Confiscation Coup next turn unless they have a really good creature on board, because I'd rather save it for a better threat. So, Glimmer of Genius can just be my play next turn. They go straight to combat here. Subtle Strike might be a little greedy, because they could have a lot of tricks that would not work out. Like, if they just throw a burn spell at my Minister of Inquiries here, or use a combat trick, this is going to play badly for me. Yeah, no, we'll just keep the Minister on board. I can take this damage. Renegade Wheelsmith. That card is destructively good. 3 mana, 3/2. Every time it becomes tapped, target creature can't block this turn. Then they're going to play an Inventor's Goggles, which can give a thing +1/+2. I'm probably going to confiscate the Wheelsmith here, just because of how devastating it is if that thing's attacking me. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Pay 3 energy. Oh, it automatically pays for you. Thank you. With this hand and this board state, I'm much more likely to kill my opponent with combat damage than I am to mill them out. So we're just using the Minister of Inquiries as just an energy fuel. Just gave us some energy when we played it, and now it's just going to be a body on the board. Ooh, that is what you love to see when you Confiscation Coup. Force your opponent to use a removal spell on their own creature. Get 3 for 1 there. Carry Zev! And that probably kills me. This card is nuts. 1/3 First Strike Menace. Every time it attacks, they get a 2/1 tapped and attacking. Oh, that quite likely kills me. I guess I play Hinterland Drake and hold up Subtle Strike. Obviously not attacking with Minister, but I could send this one in. Problem is, my opponent might still have tricks, but they did play a Pyrohelix, so that's 1 instant out of their hand. Oh, that's a sorcery, so we know Subtle Strike will resolve, so if they just send all in here, we can get rid of Carry Zev, which is real important. Perfect. I take a lot of damage, though. Take a lot of damage. Oh no, she's Menace. I can't get rid of her. Oh. Menace. God dang, that card is good. Oh wait, I can... No, Subtle Strike's just -1/-1. The only way I kill Infiltrator is doing this. This doesn't feel great, but I'm taking so much damage. In the alternative, I feel like I have to do this. I'm gonna keep my energy rather than milling my opponent here. Aether Theorist, I can play 2 blockers. That's a thing. Probably better than Glimmering right now. And more specifically, I have a 1/3 to block the 2/1 that Karizev makes. So Karizev's just hitting us for 2 here. They put the goggles on her and hit for 2. We've got a race. We have got a race here. And I have enough energy that if I draw any energy payoff, we're just going to go wild. If I draw my blue-red one, I don't just think we can't lose at all, basically. The Whirler Virtuoso that makes a bunch of Thopters, we would make 3 of them immediately. Definitely keep blue up here, and we just play this right now. Turtle Swooper. Nine life here. Don't think I want Turtle, because I can only play one of these this turn anyway, so I think I just play Swooper and then Scry. Ooh, an Aether Theorist. Is that better to play than another Swooper? It's a better blocker. I mean, we're making 1/1s every time I attack with the Swoopers. I think whatever I play here is likely to just block. If I play super defensive here and don't send in the Drake, then I have a 2/3, a 1/3, and a 1/1 servo, and then I can play Swooper and try to keep it from blocking and then just keep making 2 servos each turn. So I just have a million blockers and it's really hard for opponents to get in. I think I do. I think I'd play real defensively here. And try to take over by making 2 servos a turn to block with. After this combat here. Just do everything we can to make sure our blocks are really good this turn. So I don't have to block with Aether Swoopers, that I can get 2 more blockers every single turn. That's disgusting. Okay. They get to cast something for free. Infiltrator, that's extra nasty. Lord. I have to block with 3 power to kill this freaking Karizev. Lose Swooper and the servo. I make another servo next turn. They'll have a Karizev and an Infiltrator, and that's it on their board, but I take 3. Block with everything, I take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's no way I can do that. Block Karizev with everything and just die to Infiltrator's ability next turn. I guess the servo's gonna die either way. So I could give my opponent the option to kill my Theorist. I don't think they would choose to do that, but now they have the option of killing the wrong thing. Oh my god, they are gonna kill the Theorist, okay. So we get to keep the Swooper for more servos? Oh my god. That's huge. That means I actually get to attack and block. Play infinite blockers here. We still have 10 energy to just keep making servos with these Swoopers. The Infiltrator, we can't block the Infiltrator with our servos, but we can still block it with this Theorist. Then Glint Sleeve Artisan. Things are looking really good for us right now. Just keep getting servos. Yeah, I should have blocked with Hinterland Drake and not Theorist, I think. So I could still get Scries in the future. I don't know, Hinterland Drake makes it so my clock is 1 turn faster. Potentially 2 turns faster if I really wanted. Okay, they're gonna revoke the Drake. They've got a pretty good attack this turn, I think. We kill Karizev. Block. If they have a 1-mana white combat trick, we don't kill Karizev. I have to block with all 4, because otherwise they first strike 1 and only take 2. If they don't have a trick here, it's actually a really bad attack. They trade Karizev for 1 servo? Okay. To be fair, I did not realize that until I did the math either. But that went really well for me. And now we just swoop our way into victory. Really showing off the power of Aether Swoopers this game. It's been a pretty great video, really showing off the power of some of these energy commons. We showed off Thriving Turtle last time, and now we're really showing off the swoopers. I have lethal if I attack with everybody, but they only do 4 on the crackback. Yeah. Because they only do 4 on the crackback, they have to somehow survive this and get an extra damage to my face next turn. So I am going to attempt the lethal, which should be really hard for them to survive. What could they have? They could have a Pyrohelix here. Unless they have like 2 Pyrohelixes, they're dead. If they have 2 Pyrohelixes, they kill 4 servos, block my 2 creatures on ground and take 2. Then they play a Night Marker Lookout and block the Artisan and just take 1, go to 4. Their hand has to be incredible to survive this combat. What has to be pretty good for them to survive this combat? It has to be incredible for them to survive this combat and kill me next turn. Might have been a little extra bold. Did feel like we had a good lock on the game. Even not going for the onboard lethal. But I don't know. I don't know. We're going to be 3-0 now with this really sick Dimir energy deck. With the red splash. Okay, here we are now in game 4. Pacification Array. Die Young and Subtle Strike. No blue source is awkward, but we've got 9 in the deck because we've got 2 maps and 7 islands. We're not really doing anything. All we're doing is trying to keep our opponent down. Yeah, I'm going to mulligan this. A little too risky for me. This is a lot better. We've got both our colors. Still have the Pacification Array. We'll probably just get rid of like a Subtle Strike here because Subtle Strike not that nasty with an Aether Poisoner. Metallic Rebuke, though, with a Poisoner for a servo and an Array for another artifact. Metallic Rebuke's really nice in this hand, so I'll get rid of the Subtle Strike here. Opponent takes some mulligans as well. Some really cool Kiora sleeves. Okay, turn 1, Pacification Array, and pass the turn. Opponent is on green. Turn 2, Aether Poisoner. Double green to start off. A Cogworker's Puzzle Knot. Actually pretty disgusting against Aether Poisoner. Probably have to just tap down their servo, awkwardly enough. Then we're just playing a Minister of Inquiries this turn. Could go for the mill plan, but I think that's a rarity. We're just going to go for servos still. Go nice and wide here. High Spire Artisan. I'll definitely attack a Death Toucher into that. Well, I guess they do get to fabricate another 1/1 instead of choosing to make it as a 1/4. Well, maybe we are on the mill plan, because it looks like we're not getting an attack down for quite some time. But neither is our opponent. We have a Pacification Array and 2 Death Touchers on board. And I have enough energy to mill my opponent 12 right now. And we've seen how much energy we can produce. We can mill them every turn for the rest of this game, which is going to mill them out in 9 turns. Maybe less. 9 turns would mill them 27, but they'd also have drawn 9 cards in 9 turns. So that'd be 36. Just 8 turns. 8 turns will kill them if they can't kill Minister. So if they can't kill Minister, all we have to do is survive. 8 turns, which looks really easy right now. I'm gonna actually play this Aether Poisoner later. I like being able to Pacification Ray and Metallic Rebuke if necessary. And I also am mildly worried about a Fumigate or something that destroys all creatures. I guess I'd have Metallic Rebuke up and still play Poisoner. That's true. Because this Metallic Rebuke, I can expand my board state here. I can just counter a Wrath effect, counter a board wipe. All right, this is gonna be a really obnoxious one. But we're just the control deck this game. We're on the Minister of Inquiry's mill plan. Opponent's down to 23 cards already. See how fast that is? Like, blink and you'll miss it. There's the Thopter Arrest, and they can afford to pay for the Metallic Rebuke. Yep. So they just exile the Minister. We get in with Aether Swooper now, though, because we can tap down the Artisan every turn, so we do have a different threat. If this game goes dramatically long, they're already going to die to mill, and since I have an even number of energy, that translates into an even number of effects for this. If I spend 1, then that's 1 less servo. I think I just resolve it, rather than milling them one more time here. Tap the Reach creature, and we'll start swooping. All these 1/1 servos on their board definitely have made our Poisoners much worse, but they're still in a position where they really can't get in well. They're going to give their board +2/+1 to kill 2 of our 1/1s. No, they're just trying to get some damage done here, some way to get out of this. Alright, well, I'm pretty happy with that line from my opponent, because now I get to send in all the Death Touchers too, since I don't have to worry about servos. Like, trading into a Druid of the Cowl seems super fine to me. Got a Night Market Lookout as well here. At this point, I'd rather tap down the 1/1 so they can't kill any of my attackers, because the Flyer's only getting in for 1 anyway. They're down to 9. Still holding up Rebuke or Pacification Array. Not holding up both, though. Wanderer, I cannot rebuke that. They've got too much mana up. Alright. And they're just going to scoop them up. They are over it, and we are going to be 4-0 in this Kaladesh Remastered Premier Draft. Here we are now in Game 5. We've got all 3 colors thanks to this Renegade map. We've got a turn 2 Poisoner and a turn 1 Pacification Array. This Gearseeker Serpent could come out pretty cheaply as well. We are against a red deck, so we do definitely have to worry about our Poisoner getting Pyrohelixed, which I'm never a big fan of. Biggest downside of the card. Ooh, luckily for us, a Speedway Fanatic. That a 1/1 servo would be really good at blocking if our Poisoner does not immediately die. Could also just play a 1/3 to try to block that. If I want to play around Pyrohelix, then the play is Aether Theorist. I'm just going to hope for the best here and drop the Aether Poisoner. If they don't have a Pyrohelix, being able to attack with this and get a servo is going to be a very good deal against their 1 toughness creature. And say if they have the Pyrohelix, they definitely wait on it. Wait till I make my servo and I've spent my energy. Okay, Quicksmith Genius, I'll definitely attack into that thing. With my Death Touch, get my servo. And now I can hold up a Metallic Rebuke to counter their Pyrohelix. I could do that and still play a Renegade map this turn. I could play a Theorist and still hold up the counter, thanks to having 2 artifacts on board. But then I'd have to tap the servo. I wouldn't be able to block with it this turn. That's fine, because Theorist blocks Fanatic as well, and neither the Theorist or the Quicksmith Genius... I'm sorry, or the servo can block the Quicksmith Genius well by itself. Yeah, we'll play the Theorist. We're still holding up Metallic Rebuke. And that's why we're not playing Renegade map. Now we just have the Rebuke if they do have the Pyrohelix, which will be very nice. Mobile Garrison. The Cruise is a 3/4 vehicle. It's a pretty big body. 3/4 can untap another thing. I'm actually just going to resolve it. So Cruise for 2. They can untap it. Untap whatever they crewed. Yeah, I'm letting it resolve so that I can have 2 blockers up and try to kill this Quicksmith Genius if they try to attack with that one. They are going to attack with that one, so we'll kill the Quicksmith Genius here. And now our plan can try to just be to kind of wipe their board here. Right? Because we can kill the Fanatic really easily. Like, Garrison doesn't do anything if I can kill every other creature. So one of the things you can try to do as counterplay against vehicles is to knock out all of your opponent's other creatures to make the vehicle useless. It is a risky thing because vehicles essentially give every creature they draw for the rest of the game haste. Like, they could play a 5/5 on turn 7 and just immediately crew Garrison and attack for 3 again. So there's a moderate risk to that kind of line, but I think it's solid here. Make another servo. I'll trade with Fnatic here now that they've got Garrison, I think. Rather hold on to Die Young. Actually, if I just hold the Death Toucher up, I'm not worried about Garrison at all. Yeah, I don't need another servo that badly that I want to send Poisoner in right now. Okay, we're definitely going to play the Renegade map. This makes it so we can play Gearseeker Serpent next turn. And just hold up Rebuke again. And Pacification Array. Because I'm not Die Younging their 2/1. Boundary Screecher. Not very scary at all. We can Die Young that card. Because it's scarier than the 2/1 on the ground. It's not a big old deal. I'll just tap the Garrison, I guess. So they can't crew it when I kill the Screecher, so I can still get an attack in this turn. Just might as well, since I'm not doing anything else with the mana. Subtle Strike's insane. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. That's better than Die Younging right now. Okay, might as well get my 1 extra damage in here. Still holding up Pacification Array if my opponent doesn't do anything I need to kill. If they do something I need to kill, then I'm rebuking. And I can do that even if I sack the map. So let's sack the map, play land for turn. Actually, maybe I should have gotten another blue source that I could play Serpent and hold up Rebuke on a later turn, potentially. Aether Torch Renegade. Okay, that's getting rebuked, because that kills 1 toughness stuff. Yeah, I'll rebuke that one. That being able to kill any servos we make and kill our Poisoner and stuff like that's a pretty big deal. They do that by spending 2 energy and tapping it, and it comes with 4, so it's guaranteed to shoot things 2 times. Now I'm just slamming down a Gearseeker Serpent. Can't attack here because they can crew. I could attack with the Death Toucher. Traded with Fnatic, worst case scenario. Not a terrible trade if I get a servo out of it. So sure. Since I'll have a 5-6 to block their 3-4 anyway, I don't need to hold up my Death Touch blocker this turn. We are going to trade into Fnatic. Okay. That is fine. We must have another creature to crew the garrison coming down this turn. Aetherborn Marauder. 2/2 flying lifelink. And that can crew the garrison. I can die young that and still tap the garrison down if they try to crew it, and I need to. I can also just attack with the serpents into a 3-4. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna play my Drake. We are all on board. That's all our threats. That's our whole plan. What can our opponent do about it? That is the question. Underhanded Designs. If they play another artifact, they can, if they have both those artifacts on board, use this as a removal spell. But if I kill one of these artifacts, they can't do that anymore. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Cannot lethal them here. Can tap the garrison, so we can send in the servo. And they're going to blow up the Gear Seeker Serpent, I guess. Yeah, we're definitely using Pacification Array on the offense rather than the defense. Still at this point. So they are going to blow up the Serpent. Unless they want to chump block here. They have to take 9 and go to 2 in order to keep 2 artifacts on board for Underhanded Designs. And so they do. They are at 2 life. Carry Zev. Seen a lot of those. Don't love it. But they're dead in the sky here. They kill the Serpent, take 2 from Hinterland Drake, and that is game. Alright, that is game. And when I say I don't love it about Carry Zev, I mean I don't love playing against it. It is a very good card. You should draft it super highly. But yeah, looks like what, we're 5-0 now? Yeah, it was 4-0 right before I took a little break. So we are 5-0 now with this Dimir energy deck. We're going to be up in gems no matter what, which is super nice because I am on my alt account where I need definitely need to make my gems back so I don't have to throw a bunch of money into this alt. All right, here we are in Game 6. We are 5-0 so far with a really great hand on the play. You love to see it. Turn 1 Minister into turn 2 Aether Swooper, and we're just going to be beaten down. I have a backup plan of just being on the Minister game plan, but with this hand, I'm pretty sure I'm just getting aggressive in the sky, swooping in, making a bunch of servos, beating my opponent's face while I'm on the play here. And I'd rather just deal one to my opponent than mill them right now. Because again, we're curving out with flyers here. We're going to have a bunch of servos. Opponent has a Sky Skiff, but nothing to crew it yet, but that will be a good blocker for our flyers in the future. Very wide board state here, turn 3. Our opponent does get a servo exhibition, which gives them 2 servos in order to crew the Sky Skiff, so we know they have a 2-3 blocker, which is a pretty dang big deal. Servo Exhibition actually really good against us here because it's going to be able to crew the Skiff, and it's also going to be able to block any Aether Poisoners we tried to play to have Death Touchers on the ground instead. Alright, well, we're pivoting into the mill plan then, because I actually can't get through the Sky Skiff very easily. So we're just going to kind of have a lock on the board state here. By just having so many creatures. Just mill my opponent 3 a turn. Get that plan started. This Hinterland Drake is super bad against Sky Skiff, unfortunately, since it cannot block artifact creatures. Mobile garrison, alright, some more vehicles. Come on down, vehicles. Opponent's pretty firmly got to be on the defensive here, which is good for us, because now we can just use the Minister plan. So this is fine. Alright, build a hidden stockpile of plains in a swamp. Start scrying with Theorist here. I don't want to play another Aether Poisoner yet. There is one White Wrath in the format, a Fumigate, and our opponent's never getting in, even if I don't play this next Poisoner. So I'm going to wait to play that until I need the energy out of it. We're going to be spending 2 energy a turn, 1 to mill and 1 to scry. So don't feel like we have great attacks. And I guess I could send Poisoner and get rid of one of these servos. Does not feel ideal though. I think I'm still on the scry till we get a trick of some kind or a removal spell of some kind. Maybe something to deal with the skiff. Maybe a subtle strike or something to make it so we could just attack with everybody and strike wherever we need it. But we're definitely looking for something before I send in and get on the aggressive instead of the mill plan. Let's try 1. Get that island on the bottom. We hit our own sky skiff. That's actually pretty good. It does survive a wrath, so I might as well put that down. But now, yeah, now I can attack with 2/3 flyers each turn, which means that one of them is going to get in, because they can only block 1 with their sky skiff. And the 2/3s will bounce off of their sky skiff. So we do start hitting them for 2 a turn now. That was a pretty good draw. So now we're attacking them at multiple fronts. We're on the mill plan, and slowly but surely on the traditional damaging plan. Just trying to put them to 0. Alright, see if our opponent gets out of their mana screw here. They are still stuck on 3 lands, all of which are just white sources. Wow, it looks like they're still stuck. They're down to 19 cards in library as well. We did mill a Fumigate, they did have one. Speak of the devil. It shall appear even if it ends up in the graveyard. Die young. Yep, that'll finish off the sky skiff, and then we can keep getting in with all of our flyers every turn. That is a good draw. So the plan now is to send in both of the 2/3 flyers. They will block 1 with the sky skiff, and then post-combat I can give the sky skiff -1/-1 to finish it off. And we'll still have 1 leftover energy for more Minister of Inquiries mill. And then now that we've dealt with the flyer, we're actually just pretty firmly winning on board. So I'll actually save all of the energy for Minister of Inquiries, because we don't really need to scry any specific draws when we're winning on board. Oh, no blocks. Then I suppose I won't kill the sky skiff, will I? The odds of them having double Fragmentize are pretty low, so I'm just going to get this mana commitment out of the way and get my energy for my mill and my scry and all of that. Down to 18 cards in their deck. We have enough energy for 4 more mills. That's going to be milling them 12 cards. We have a Die Young if we need more energy. I guess I could still be Aether Theoristing because I have the Die Young in hand. That if nothing else I can just use for 2 energy. Yeah, I can still scry right now. And a lot of the cards in the deck still add even more energy, which of course makes sure that we're fueled for the mill plan. Mountain? I'm gonna get rid of that. That does make it so Whirler Virtuoso is a legitimate draw, but I think I would rather just get the red source after I draw the red card, since I have the scrying to try to get it, and I've got 3 other red sources in the deck. Another mountain and 2 of the card that lets me search for a mountain. Okay, they are going to block this turn, which may mean they have some kind of trick up this time that they didn't have before that makes them feel safe, or they could have just forgot last time. Alright, let's see. Try to die young the Sky Skiff for -1/-1. And it does resolve, so we're just going to attack with all these flyers. And again, I did draw one of my other energy producers, so now I have 5 energy, so I can definitely keep using both the energy abilities. Our opponent has 14 cards in deck. Still milling 3 a turn. We're basically out of a library 3 turns from now. They're out of cards 3 turns from now, and they're just going to scoop them up. They had some really rough luck that game. They kept a mono-white 3-lander, and then just never hit another land the whole game. We just milled them all, I guess. Yeah, we milled a lot of their lands. So some very poor luck for our opponent there. The deck looks pretty fun, the white-black kind of revolt deck. Cards like Hidden Stockpile give them a 1/1 servo every time a permanent leaves their battlefield, and Conviction to consistently make sure they're getting revolt triggers. Looks like a fun deck over there, just did not work out how they wanted it to that game. Some poor draws, and that's going to be 6-0 for us as we head into what may be the final boss. If we win this, we're out of it. We've got 2,200 gems, and if we lose, we've still got a couple more shots. Here we are in Game 7. We are 6-0 here, so if we can win this game, we will be undefeated for the draft, and we've got an incredible hand to start off. We've got that Thriving Turtle. We've seen how big that thing can get. We've got double Aether Swooper here to be aggressive alongside it, and Minister later to make sure we still have all the energy we need all game long. So let's just get in there with this turtle. We're against a green deck here. They had a turn 2 Sky Skiff, and they are on the play here. So not going to be as massively aggressive as this hand could be, since we are on the draw. And Thriving Rhino is a pretty big deal. That can crew the skiff so they know they have a blocker. Or they can just hit us in the sky. I'm super happy with that. Very happy to race. Ooh, we naturally draw the black source, so we can play that this turn and still play Swooper and Minister. Play Glimmer next turn. I will get a servo here because I've got enough energy to go around. I think I want to make sure I can make my Thriving Turtle 3 power so it can still attack into a Sky Skiff well. But any more energy is a bit redundant. Narnum Cobra, Death Toucher. Death Touch my turtle? That would be pretty rude. Pretty rude, I would hate to see it. Alright, their Thriving Rhino's getting in, we're taking 3. No longer have great attacks. So we're just going to Glimmer of Genius here. See if we can draw into Subtle Strike, Last Hope, that kind of stuff. Sky Skiff is fine. Yeah, but it's not going to attack in anyway. Yeah, we're on Glimmer of Genius. I guess I could attack in with Turtle Swooper Swooper, and then they have to block and kill Turtle, and the Swoopers can get in. No, I think I have enough ways to try to kill this Cobra that I don't want to throw my Turtle in yet. At least not just yet. Opponent is on green-red. They have hit their second color here. Send in a 3/4 Thriving Rhino. They're going to throw a Burn Spell at this turtle to finish it off. I think the turtle's important enough to just take 3. Because again, green-red is a lot of damage-based removal, so it's going to be really hard for them to kill the turtle if they can't like stack up damage on it to find lethal. So Outland Boar is the play. That is devastating. We can't block that at all. We need a 3-power creature to do so. Hinterland Drake and Theorist, which don't help us, so we get rid of those. Alright. Just saving this energy. Outland board's really good against our deck. It's like impossible to block that. And again, I can't get another counter on Turtle because they'll just kill it with Cobra. Hinterland Drake just doesn't do anything either. Play map defend the deck, I guess. Go Theorist Sky Skiff. Stopping in our upkeep so we can scry during our upkeep. We thin the deck out of a land and then we scry during our upkeep. Because we're going to need an answer pretty much immediately. Sky Skiff, definitely an MVP against our deck, but even more so the Outland board here. Alright, we're just going to stack a gigantic block onto the Thriving Rhino now, at this point. Let them throw burn spells at our random creatures. Oh, they're just going to main phase that? Yeah, I guess, I mean, because it's definitely getting in. No reason not to main phase it. Oh yeah, and it gives them the energy to buff the Rhino. Make it a 4/5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Show me the burn. Kill the Sky Skiff and then kill some other stuff. I'm not blocking with Turtle though, because Turtle's our most likely blocker for Outland Boar if I draw into a Subtle Strike. We make the Turtle big enough to block Boar. That's sick. Built to smash for +2/+2. Chump block the Rhino all day. Alright. Grab the red source and then scry one. And it's not gonna help. Yep, I'm just dead now. Hinterland Drake cannot block Sky Skiff, so they just hit me with Boar and Sky Skiff. There's some poor draws in the end there. But that was a very nice Gruul aggro deck from our opponent. And some seemingly pre-sideboarded stuff. Outland Boar and Sky Skiff being devastating against us. 6-1 as we head into round 8. Unfortunately, not a 7-0 today. I want to keep this hand so bad because Confiscation Coup is the strongest card in our deck, and I don't think we've gotten to cast it that often. I think we did it once. And I'd really love to do it again, but the lack of blue mana is pretty bad here. We can play an Aether Poison, that's the only thing I know I'm doing, and I'm on the play and not even on the draw. So we don't know when we're going to hit that blue source, and we need 2 to get to the coup. I'm going to mulligan this one. This is more keepable. Whirler Virtuoso is our splash card, so makes sense that we don't have the mana for that. We might even just scry that away, that seems fine. Driving Turtle, Theorist, Glimmer of Genius, and Die Young, still a really powerful hand. And we've got a couple cards in this deck that shuffle our library, so it's not like it's impossible to redraw the Whirler Virtuoso later in the game. Yeah, turn 1 Thriving Turtle is especially good against a red deck, although Pacification Array. We're going to get a taste of our own medicine here. That's going to be pretty frustrating. The Thriving Turtle is going to stay locked down and not get much work done. Don't love the Aether Poisoner against the red decks because of the Pyro Helixes that are available, so I'm just going to drop Theorist. Theoretically, I like Aether Poisoner against Pacification Array because we go wide instead of going large. I just don't like it against Pyro Helix, which is what the red decks are going to have a lot of. I think I'd rather scry with Theorist than hit them right now, because we really need to hit our 3rd land drop. And our 4th, to be fair. So we're going to keep the Theorist untapped here rather than dealing 1 damage with it. At least our opponent kind of has to spend all their mana on Pacification Array right now. Okay, there's the 3rd land. Keep that. Drop it, go to combat. If they don't... Okay, I was going to say, if they don't tap Thriving Turtle, then we have to really expect a Pyrohelix from my opponent, because that's the only thing that would make sense, is I'm just going to make the servo and they're immediately going to kill Poisoner plus servo. I still want to scry. One thing I'm really concerned about is I still don't love playing another Poisoner, because, again, if they do have the Pyrohelix, or if they draw into it here, now they get to kill 2 Aether Poisoners off of 1 Chandra's Pyrohelix. But I feel like tapping down Turtle there means they probably don't have Pyrohelix. I was gonna say, I probably would have not tapped down Turtle and then Pyrohelix the Poisoner plus the servo. Maybe I would have gotten greedy, though. I do tend to get greedy a lot. Renegade Map, that works as our 4th mana, so I'll keep that, because we do have the Die Young that we're definitely playing this turn just to kill this champion. It's a very threatening double striker. Can get bigger by paying energy. Okay, now I don't need to scry anymore, we'll just get all of the damage in. I would rather go big than go wide, so we'll use the Thriving Turtle. I'm still worried about a bunch of Pyrohelix type removal. Even though they have the array on the board, I'd still rather make a 2/5 Turtle before I make another servo here. Maybe that's wrong. Okay, Hinterland Drake or Glimmer of Genius for the turn. These Poisoners are looking really good here, so maybe we're going to go for the Glimmer of Genius. They don't tap a thing down. Let's go full control then. And Glimmer of Genius and get a counter on Turtle then if they're letting it get in. We'll make it a 3-power creature so they can't just block with the Sculptor. Yeah, I'll take these. Sure, I'll take these. Both go to hand. Alright. I am really bouncing between what I want to do with my energy, but it's all good things to do. Making 1/1s is good on this board state. Making the Turtle bigger is good on this board state. It's all great stuff. And they do have a Pyrohelix for those two. They now have drawn into it. Rishkar's Expertise. Draw 2 and then cast pretty much anything for free. Something that costs 5 or less. Rishkar's Expertise, a very powerful card. Kind of weird when you read it. A little bit hard to gauge how strong it is, but it is a very good card. Even if you're just drawing 2 off of it because you're playing something for free. That's so disgusting. Rishkar's Expertise in a Confiscation Coup? Tell me I can't win the game without telling me I can't win the game. Good lord. We still have to deal with this Pacification Array to get in at all. Guess I'm on Swooper. Swooper Theorist here. I could still draw into my own Confiscation's Coup. I've still got some really big draws that can help us push in this last bit of damage, but it's going to be way harder to do now. Rishkar's Expertise and a Confiscation Coup was a hell of a turn, especially because they have 5 energy left over because they only had to spend 1 to steal my Turtle. Puma Outrider, yep. They've still got the 2 mana up. Now they don't have the 2 mana up, so we know Swooper's getting in. I can stop in my upkeep to scry again. I'm not going to need all these Aether Theorists as blockers. Night Marker Lookout's terrible here. Probably don't need either of these to block. I am digging far. And still finding nothing. Come on, draw step. Aether Poisoner is something. Now they have to tap that down to get the Thriving Turtle in. But I can't afford to cast that and the Drake this turn. Probably on Drake Turtle then. But Poisoner's good in the future. This way we're almost definitely getting some amount of damage in every turn in this guy. At least one in every turn in this guy. Alright, we're probably just going to keep chumping with servos because we can keep replacing them potentially. But we'll take the 4. Down to 12. Another Pima Outrider. That is very good. Jesus Christ. I'll draw blind at this point so I can hold up Theorist. I think I'm still not blocking with Theorist. Wow. Well, I'm glad I've got a Scryer on board. Because it looks very necessary this game. Drop an Aether Swooper first before I go to combat so I have the energy to make a servo so that they might want to tap down Swooper instead of Drake. I actually don't know which is better for us. Probably better if they tap Drake so we can get our chump blocker while we attack, even if we're doing 1 less damage. Okay. Now we play Poisoner. Alright, now we're passing the turn. I'm a little interested in seeing how far we've scryed here. We've scryed 4 lands away. We've scryed 5 cards away total. So we have scryed pretty far. Fabrication modules. Very, very, very powerful this late in the game when you have all that mana up to use as mana sink. And they even have Fabrication module and a card that immediately makes energy to get a counter out of it the turn they play it. Okay, they're not attacking with the turtle since we have the Death Toucher now, but I'm still going to just Death Toucher the Trampler here. I only have 3 power to go around elsewhere, so I can't kill anything else. So we're taking 7 from Trample. Chumping there. Going to 5, it's painful. I think I'm scrying with 1 Theorist now, so I can still get another servo guaranteed. Metallic Rebuke. This is not the time to be countering spells. Just get another land here. Alright, we go to combat. I'm probably dead here. They only have 1 Trampler now, though. Dang, I wish I had the energy to get servos from both of these. If I hit them for 2 every turn, it's going to take 4 turns to kill them. If I hit them for 1 this turn and then 2 every other turn, it's still going to take just as long. Right? Because if I hit them for 1 now, they're at 6, and then I hit them for 2 in the next 3 turns. So I kill them just as fast hitting them for 1 this turn, so I think I hit them for just 1 this turn. In case I actually have the energy later to get servos off both these. We're going to Renegade Map in the upkeep so I don't draw whatever land. Although, we probably don't Renegade Map actually in my upkeep. Because if I Renegade Map in my upkeep, I'm shuffling 4 more lands potentially closer to the top, where I'm only getting 1 land potentially farther away from the top. Yeah, no, I'm not actually mapping in the upkeep. Because of our scries earlier. So it is relevant to check for that kind of stuff when you're shuffling your deck. We're actually making the possibility of drawing a land higher by cracking map before we draw a card. because of how many lands we've scryed away. Okay, yeah, this is pretty bad. They have the fabrication module to put 2 counters on the Outrider. Well, just 1 counter. Just 1 counter right now. They make it 5 power, which means we can't kill it. If I don't block, I just die, so we stop as much damage as we can by throwing our 0/3 under the bus. Minister of Inquiries is the draw. We probably survive 1 more attack. We definitely play this pre-combat, so I actually get a servo here. If I'm not threatening to kill my opponent 3 attacks, I'm not really winning this game no matter what, so I'm not even going to do the math. I'm just going to send in both swoopers and hope that's enough blockers still. Again, just 1 trampler, it's probably enough blockers to survive 1 more turn. And then all we need is something that lets us survive 1 more turn after that. Because we're 2 swings away from killing our opponent in the sky. It's going to be really hard to survive 2 more swings. It's possible to survive the next attack from our opponent, but surviving another attack after the next one is going to be much more difficult. I should have Renegaded mapped during my turn so I could actually play the land. But I could also just hold on to this to, again, make it less likely to draw a land, because my most expensive card's Confiscation Coup. Even Gearseeker Serpent only costs 5 right now, so... actually, Gearseeker Serpent costs 4 as long as I have 2 servos. Yeah, I can cast everything in my deck, cracking Renegade map after I draw the coup, so I'm still not going to crack it, so that I'm less likely to hit another land. Okay. I mean, they're attacking so aggressively here that maybe there's a way to find lethal even on the ground. No, they have 2 blockers up. They have 2 blockers and Pacification Array up. Yeah, there's no way. We just make sure we survive. I lose to Module, putting another counter on Chaser. Yeah, I have to block literally everything. I have to block literally everything. Because every single one of these threats is lethal if they use Fabrication Module. So Minister is less important than Aether Theorist, so we block like that. Oh, sick. We could not win then. They had Welding Sparks. Alright. Couldn't survive that attack. I guess I could have double blocked the Outrider, but then they kill... I would have double blocked with both Theorists. They kill 1. Still trample over for like 2. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would get 1 more turn against like a Welding Sparks there. Oh, it was a brutal, brutal game. Opponent got some really good mana sinks. As you can see, Pacification Array wins games. Really wins games, and Fabrication Module does as well. But the really big turning point was Rishkar's expertise at a Confiscation Coup was absolutely deadly. We probably could have just scooped right there. That was a rough one. Really, really powerful plays from our opponent, going to put us down to 6-2, heading into what is, no matter what, the final round, the final boss. Alright, here we are in the final boss in this game. This game, we're the one with a Pacification Array, so that should be pretty nice. We've also got turn 1 Minister into turn 2 Poisoner, which can get us a lot of energy to spit out servos or to mill our opponent a bunch. They're on red, so a little less happy about the Aether Poisoner plan, and very unhappy about drawing 3 of our 4 Poisoners against the red deck. Just because of the mass availability of Chandra's Pyrohelix, and I would really have rather not played against 3 Karizevs today. I really, really would have appreciated not doing that. Opponent's on the play with Karizev turn 2, and that might just be it. Honestly. First Strike and Menace, I can't, even if I double block with Poison or an Increase, they first strike the Death Toucher away. I can start pacifying it next turn, I guess. Play Poisoner here, but it's just bad against the red deck, bad against the First Strike. I think I go Map and Array. Pull a Mountain out of my deck in the upkeep. And get ready to just pacify Karazev every turn, is the plan. We've got a million energy here, so we can definitely mill them with Minister. They are red-green. They kept a monocolored hand, but I'd keep a monocolored hand if I had turned 2 Karazev, so that is a super fair keep. Opponent responding to our Renegade map. Nope. Take the mountain. We already have the double blue for our 1 double blue spell. Ooh, there's the 1 double blue spell. Oh my god, we've got a shot now. We've really got a shot now. Plan is to confiscation coup their Karazev, so I don't have to keep tapping it forever. Still holding on to the Poisoners, because I can play a Poisoner and a Pacification Array on turn 4. Alright, Weldfast Monitor. Looks like they're still stuck off of their second color, so they are getting punished for the monocolored keep. We even draw into a Whirler Virtuoso? Okay, everything is coming up good now. Everything is really looking to turn around here. We are still locking down Karazev every turn. We have a confiscation coup to steal her later. We're milling them every turn, playing the playing that mill game plan if the game goes long. Kill Minister here if we double block. No longer on the mill game plan. Kill both of our creatures too. They're down to 20 cards already if I mill them again. I don't think I'd trade Minister into this Monitor. Alright, they're going to harness Lighting the Minister of Inquiry, so we've got them to have to use removal on the mill card because it's just doing too much work. Put them down to 20 cards already. We've got the Confiscation Coup mana now. Do I steal Karazev? I can afford to play Whirler Virtuoso and still tap her down. So I don't think I need to steal her right now. Because we can just have creatures to block the Menace now, which is pretty good. And this actually stops more damage, I think, which is important. I think we're in a pretty good position for the long game. Opponent does have a lot of cards in their hand, though, and we know that they're all non-land, so it's a bunch of stuff they can actually cast. But I think Confiscation Coup, Whirler Virtuoso, these are really powerful cards for taking over a long game. Pacification Array as well. Nature's Way, that's super, super sad. That's brutal. The other thing I really liked about playing Whirler Virtuoso before the coup is that the coup was going to give us enough energy to make another Thopter, even stealing Karazev. Yeah, that's super sad. I hate to see that. Kill the Virtuoso the turn we play it. Feel like I am going to Confiscation Coup the Karazev next turn because if they play bigger threats like big old 5/5 tramples or whatever, I'm just gonna have I have a million Death Touchers. So the scariest threat is still just the First Strike Menace card. Now it's not gonna be great for us to have it on our board, but it's still going to be important for them to not have that, I think. Hinterland Drake is the draw. Take the Carry Zev. And we've got the Poisoners for their big creatures. We've also got Pacification Ray for whatever Trampler they play. Alright, yeah, Poisoner can block Rhino, so I don't even think we're arraying that thing. We can send in Carry Zev freely. They can block the Monkey, but whenever Carry Zev's not really blocking anyway. I guess I could tap it on the aggressive, but I'm just going to play 5 mana worth of cards this turn. Most likely. Alright, opponent does not want to play around a Subtle Strike. They do want to play around a Subtle Strike. Okay, that is very good for us. Alright, hopefully no removal for Poisoner here. But we're at 13 life, so we have enough life to take a small risk like that rather than holding up the Pacification Array mana, just that we can start hitting our opponent a little faster and try to close this game out before they do anything too disastrously powerful. They're gonna go ahead and blow up the Aether Poisoner so they can get one Thriving Rhino attack in. But I've got more Poisoners. Oh, do I have Poisoners over here. We hit for a lot of damage this turn. If Revolution didn't tap our land, we could play Poisoner and Theorist and Pacification Array the Rhino, but I'm going to play it safe now that we're down to 10. And worst case scenario, I just use this Pacification Array to tap down their blocker and confirm that we're just getting in for a million. Alright, make Seed Sculptor bigger. You can attack with Rhino if you want. I'll block with Poisoner. We'll slam that block. Okay. They don't want to. So we'll tap down the Rhino. I can tap down Seed Sculpture as well here and then attack with everybody and make a servo, but then I don't have the Pacification Array on blocks, but I'm hitting for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guaranteed to kill them in 2 attacks. Still have 2 blockers up if I do that. This is a little risky, but I think it's worth it. I'll still have 2 blockers up. Stopping my upkeep just in case I want to scry before I draw. Wild Wanderer. The 3/2 body. They're dead to 3 attacks from our Drake now, thanks to how aggressive our attack was last turn. Let's just hold this as a blocker. Just draw blind, and it's a turtle, so it is not a bad draw. Kill them in 3 attacks in the sky. Yeah. Just try to lock things out by tapping things down with Array and scrying with Theorist. Make sure we're drawing better than our opponents. We'll play against 3 Carry Zevs and 2 Rishkar's Expertises today. Play against some nasty stuff today. Draw 3, cast pretty much anything for free. They're going to cast an Outland board for free. And they're going to scoop them up. They're over it. I don't know if... Yeah, we had lethal on board because we tapped 2 creatures. Our opponents are always a lot better doing the math than I am. Just way faster at it. Yeah, tap Booger, tap Rhino. They have 2 blockers. We attack with everybody. This gets in and at least 2 creatures get in. That was lethal on board. For sure. All right, we had to work for the 7-win run today, but we did get it by the skin of our teeth. We get a 7-2 run Very, very scary stuff from a lot of our opponents. The last opponent, if they drew just a little better, I'm sure we probably would have lost to the turn 2 Karizev and then Arishkar's expertise later in the game. They just missed their green sources a little too long, just long enough for us to recover and get into the lead on the board. So really, really sick stuff from this deck, really showing off the Aether cards, Aether Swoopers and Aether Poisoners, showing off their power level. Thriving Turtle as well, that being a card where if you have just a ton of energy stuff in your deck, which we do, this can be your big threat, your big win condition later in the game. We had one game we were attacking our opponent with like a 4/7 turtle at the end. So your little 1-drop just turns into your late game win condition. Whirler Virtuoso was pretty phenomenal. Unfortunately, it did die pretty quickly when it hit the board. But super, super powerful card. Definitely worth the double Renegade map. Splash. And Confiscation Coup was absolutely disgusting the 2 times that we drew it. It was very pivotal in winning both of those games. So great stuff from pretty much everything in the deck. I don't think there's anything that massively underperformed or massively overperformed. I suppose I didn't get to mill anybody out with Minister, which was a little sad. But what's so nice about this card is even just a 1-mana 1/2 body that gives you 2 energy is very good. Because of how many good ways there are to use energy, such as the Aether cards and the Thriving Turtle. So Minister was still pretty good in here. I would say underperformed. I probably overspoke the Minister's praises in terms of trying to be like a good mill card. You do have to be kind of the like triple Minister of Inquiries deck with some ways to like to bounce stuff and really slow your opponent down to try to actually do the Minister mill plan, but it is a really fun one when it pops off, and the card is good in any energy deck, so I think the card's still fine. That's probably the biggest underperformer just because of how much praise I gave that card, I guess, but other than that, everything did some work. I guess Rebuke underperformed a tiny bit as well. We did have a matchup or two where our opponent just always had the extra 3 mana up, so the Rebuke was just never going to do anything. And we had to scry it away a couple times late game as well. Yeah, that's pretty much everything. Super nice deck. Really nice to get a 7-2 run here, a 7-win run in general. And that's going to be a sweet third Kaladesh Remastered Drafts. So I believe we've got 2 more days of Kaladesh Remastered, and then we've got Amonkhet Remastered as the next draft format. So if you're interested in going back to the Egyptian mythology-themed set and the Nicobolas-themed set, that is what Amonkhet is all about, and we'll be doing some premiere drafts of that in just a few days. And of course, after those Amonkhet Remastered drafts, we have the big news, the arrival of Dominaria United on September 1st. That is the next major draft format, the next competitive format that will have an arena open and a qualifier weekend and all of that stuff. So Dominaria United is just around the corner. I will have plenty of drafts and seals of that when that happens. So if you're looking for more limited content, stick around and there will be plenty cool stuff on the horizon very soon. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.